on the What Can You Do Right Now workshop, where we are helping get relevant, practical information that you can apply in your business today. 2 weeks ago, we had my favorite nerd, Troy Reddy, talking about basic principles for keeping data secure and password management. So if you missed that last workshop, there's a link in our YouTube channel that will go out in the follow-up email. So be sure to check it out there. Today, we have my good friend and fellow business lady, Debbie Kerr. She has owned Made in California for over 20 years. When she bought it, they only did house cleaning, but she has expanded offerings, diversified, and done a lot to adapt to the right now times. So Debbie, I would love to have you share a little bit about yourself and your business.
Well, I bought Made in California. Before I bought Made in California 20 years ago, I was director of 3 departments in a hospital. And I didn't really want to continue that life when I had kids. So I bought Made in California so I could have some flexible time. And basically that's what I did. And like I said, when it started, it only was house cleaning, and literally only house cleaning. And I've expanded it to a lot of different areas now.
So a house cleaning company in the COVID times. What was your first reaction when you heard that everyone needed to stay home?
Well, you know, like most people, I couldn't really believe it. And then I thought, well, you know, what am I going to do with the business? So what I decided to do is I talked to all the cleaners and asked them what they wanted to do, if they were comfortable still going to people's houses, but they had to be masked and gloved. And all of them, of course, were. And of course, then we had some clients who were uncomfortable with having people come in, which I totally understand too. And but the good thing about Made in California that has come around from the first 20 years ago when I bought it, I've changed a lot. So at first I added some carpet cleaners and then window washing, and then I got a little bored and got my contractor's license for construction cleanup. And I also do, I'm on the Orange County Task Force on Hoarding, so I work with hoarders. And basically that diversity really kept me in business, because the girl in my office left March 15th. She said, something's come in. I got a lot of sick family members. I can't come in anymore. And she was gone. Next day, she never came back. And, you know, I understood, because she has a lot of very, very ill family members. So what happened though was I do a lot of work for the county, and I do a lot of work for realtors, and the realtors were deemed essential. I'm getting calls from the county and the VA, so I deemed them essential on my own. And I just kept going, and they needed help. I work for something called the Caregiver Resource, and they give people grants for caregiving, for the people who caregive somebody who's sick, so they need a little bit of help. They give them grants to clean. In May, I was inundated with that. Between them and the VA and the realtors kept me completely busy.
Totally. Well, I definitely agree that house cleaning is essential. I am 100% on board with that. Why do you think it is that because I have heard that a lot of cleaning companies just started to shut down during COVID. Why do you think you were able to keep things going?
Well, because I diversified, because so I lost some house cleaning business. And so I have this automated program that automatically emails clients, reminds them of their cleanings, texts them, and that kind of stuff. So I figured, well, I'm not going to call everybody. I'm just going to see who wants to cancel. And as they were getting their emails reminding them and their texts reminding them of their cleaning, some of them would send back text or email saying, you know, due to COVID, I want to cancel for right now. And I said to them, okay, I understand completely, but I thought, there's no way I'm taking them off my calendar, because then they're gone, right? So I said to all of them, well, would you mind if I just kept you on the calendar, because I know you like this certain time and this certain day of cleaning, so I will keep you on the calendar. I'll cancel you for this month, but maybe next month you're going to start getting emails again, and you just let me know if you want to cancel. And so basically I had a lot of those clients canceling or postponing, but then the real estate industry ramped up, and believe it or not, they were selling houses during this like crazy, and houses that are already in escrow had to close. And so they were selling houses like crazy. The caregiver resource, the county has a year end in June. They had to get rid of all this grant money. So they were giving me a ton of business. So what one side of my business went down, the other side was going up. And then I kept touching base with my clients. And then I knew I had some elderly ones also. So, and they were canceling, of course, but I kept touching base with them like, hi, listen, I'm just touching base with you. I'm not calling you about your cleaning, but do you need anything? Do you need groceries? Do you need my, I have 2 teenage girls sitting here doing nothing. Can I send them to the store for you? And a lot of them just couldn't believe I was offering that, but I'm human, and I know a lot of them don't have family members. So of course I wanted to try to help. And so I think that helped also, just constantly being in touch with them and talking to them about, I even offered toilet paper, which at the time there was none around, and I wasn't sure how I was going to find it. But, one customer told me, oh my gosh, I'm down to 2 rolls of toilet paper. Well, I went all over the Yorba Linda, and I found toilet paper for her, so, and brought it over. So, I mean, I think just doing stuff like that really helps in the long run.
Yeah, 100%. I think that is definitely a key thing that I've learned from you over the years is just, you can't just do one thing, even though it's, made in California and you think house cleaning, that is not all that you guys do. And even apart from that, just caring about your clients as actual human beings, not just people who give you money, but the fact that they might have needs outside of your services, but you just want to help because this is a rough time for everybody. I think that goes a long way to, when they feel comfortable kind of getting back on the schedule or back in the routine, people remember that, someone actually cared and wanted to, make sure that they had toilet paper or whatever.
Yeah, right.
So how did you, when you, for those clients that, were comfortable, how did you kind of gauge that? And then for the clients that weren't comfortable, how did you talk about the safety things that you guys are doing?
Well, my emails, I put an email out to everybody that talks about what we were doing for COVID, and mainly, the cleaners wanted to protect themselves as well, especially at the beginning when, we didn't know. So every cleaner went inside with gloves and masks, and it was up to them to discuss if they wanted them to keep the gloves and masks on, or if they didn't, or whatever they wanted to do was up to them. And at the beginning, I think everybody kind of wanted the gloves and masks on. Now they, for the most part, they're not worried about that anymore. But the other thing too is the ones who really wanted their house cleaned would leave their house, and we would come in and clean, and then they would come back. And that happened quite often, especially we had a client just the other day whose mom hadn't had her house cleaned in like 3 or 4 months. And she says, I'm taking her to the dentist. Can you just clean her house while we're at the dentist? And make sure the girls wear gloves and masks while they're in the house, even though no one's home. Absolutely. And that's what we did. We got in there and we cleaned for them, and she came home to a clean house, and there was no contact. So, there's a lot of ways to work it if you really want to. The other thing I've done now too is, in the past they would have to give me a little bit more notice than they did, and of course I waived that if they just kind of got cold feet, towards the end. And you just had to come up to it with some compassion and understanding that nobody knew what was going on, so we all just have to be careful at the beginning. And now, like I said, it's not as much, but I really attribute my success because I know for a long time in business, and if you go to different SBA speeches and stuff, it's like you need to laser pinpoint your business, right? You need to only work with restaurants. You only need to do this and really specialize. And as you could see, if restaurants were your only mode of income, you were going to be in big trouble. And the same with me. So I do have the regular house cleaning. I have my contractor's license for construction cleanup. I have, I'm on the hoarding task force. One of the only lay people they've ever allowed on the task force on the education committee, because mostly it's public servants type. And so you really just need to diversify, because you just never know. I went through the recession, 2008, and that really taught me a big lesson, because a lot of people, I had a lot of huge houses with business owners, and their wives were stay-at-home moms. And so when the business owner was losing a bunch of his business, guess what? The first thing that went was, well, you're home all day, you can clean, we're going to wipe that off. So if you see that, you need to really make sure that your business is in a lot of different places. So when one goes up, when one goes down, the other goes up.
100%.
And that's what I would like to impress on everybody. And I've kind of taught that to a couple different people in a networking group that I belong to, because I told them you never know what's going to happen. And I know one, he used to primarily work with restaurants, and I pushed him to diversify, and he thanked me not too long ago for doing that.
Yeah, especially restaurants. If that restaurants, hospitality, if that was like your niche, and I know other firm owners that is theirs, that's been a challenge for them. So, you know, having different avenues, different types of business, different kinds of clients you work with makes so much sense. But I think also a thing that I picked out of what you were talking about is just the flexibility that you gave people in a time where no one knew what was going on. You know, both that compassion piece, but also being flexible in the way that you will work with them, because you want it to be a good fit for them. You want them to feel safe, to feel comfortable. You know, you obviously have to run your business, and you want them to still give you money, but you also want them to feel good about it and not feel uncomfortable. And I can speak as one of those people who left while the cleaners came, and then we got over it, and now they just come and clean. And now we're scheduling cleaning around kids going to school on Zoom. And so I think that flexibility that you already had to establish will be something you have to continue doing as we keep making all these different adjustments to deal with the world right now. Besides, so you mentioned a networking group, so I'd love to hear a little bit about that. And then what other avenues are you using to get business, to get new clients, to just stay in front of clients? Like, how are you getting more business?
Well, primarily, you know, after 20 years, you sort of figure out what works and what doesn't work. Although when I did start this business, there were like 4 phone books you had to advertise in, which is really funny, because there's like none now, you know.
Sorry, what's a phone book?
Yeah. Well, you know, my neighbor, she saw this thing on her, they still give out a little small ones in Yorba Linda here. And my little 7-year-old neighbor, she picks up this book off the floor on the way to her house, and she says to me, "Debbie, what's this?" And I said, "It's a phone book." She said, "A phone book? What's a phone book?" And I said, "Well, it's where we used to keep all of people's phone numbers. If you wanted a phone number, you had to look in the book." She says, "Wow, that's silly." It was really funny. So you do have to adapt in business. And what I have found that works for me is 2 number 1 things. And it's actually primarily the only 2 main advertising, well, maybe 3 advertising things that I do. Number 1, one of my focuses are realtors. So I became a member of PWR, Pacific Western Realtors Association. So I give speeches for them. I attend their big meetings and have a booth. And so my name is around all over for the realtors for that. My second avenue is I'm in a BNI networking group, which I've been in for 10 years. And I have to tell you, it is invaluable for 2 reasons. When you're a business owner, you're an island. You have nobody really, maybe your husband, your wife, to bounce things off of. But if your husband or wife works for a company, they don't understand your situation. So having a BNI networking members to help me grow or give me ideas. A BNI member helped me go to this PWR. another BNI member several years ago introduced me to an organizer who introduced me to working with hoarding and the task force. So plus I get tons of business from it, and not only from my group, but from the people outside that group. So I get probably a referral from BNI, probably 6 a week, at least. And I got one today from a member in my group for a 6,000 square foot office building that wants once a week. Yeah, wants twice a week. And because she's friends with the BNI member and the BNI member introduced me, she pretty much is just telling me, when can you start? And I need to just actually go give her a price first. But so those are easy referrals because they're simple and they're, you know, it's like a no-brainer for them. My friend introduced me to you, they trust you, and you got my business. Of course, unless I'm really overpriced, right? Then the other thing I do is Facebook. And truthfully, I think Facebook is silly. I don't use Facebook. I don't care what people have for lunch, and I don't need to see a picture of it. But for my business, and I think for many businesses, this is definitely the way to go. We have a guy, again, in my networking group who does social media for me. And I'll never forget the one day I came in on a Monday and there were 5 leads, phone calls from people from Facebook in one day. And pretty much I get probably 5 to 7 of those a week, just no problem. The other thing too, when you belong to a networking group and you're in Facebook, the networking group people also promote you. Plus then you get a lot of clients from Facebook and they're on it all the time. So when someone says they want a house cleaner in certain areas in Facebook, they get my name shoved at them 5 times. And so basically what they say is, apparently, Deb, you're the one I need to call. Okay, how much is it? Fine. I understand you're the best, just come out. So it's like the sales are so easy because of the referral. And I do a little bit of advertising in Disney. There's a Disney book that I did because I did it primarily because it was Orange County. But otherwise, those are the things that I do. And then I do speeches, like this kind of speech. I do a lot of speeches on hoarding. I call it organizing because hoarders come to organizing speeches, but not hoarding speeches. So I do a lot of stuff on that for different people, and I get introduced, and that's how I got the caregiver resource a couple years ago. I went in and did a speech and brought like $20 worth of pizza. And they gave me, in May alone, I think it was $12,000 worth of business. So when they felt comfortable, I went back last month and bought another $40 worth of pizza and drinks and desserts and said, thank you. And now guess what? Now that not just the 4 people who just gave me the business primarily, now I got a phone call the other day from another department in that same area. So getting out there and being kind of a person of knowledge in your industry, you can always find somebody who's interested, as long as you kind of tweak it to sound interesting.
Yeah, I love that. I love that even in the way that you're getting business, you're diversifying. You're not putting all the eggs in one basket. Even in that, you're meeting people in person or on Zoom, you're networking, you're doing the social media. Even smarter than that, you're paying someone to do the social media.
Oh yeah, did I not say that? I forgot to say that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do it.
Oh no.
No.
My mantra is like, who can do that for me? So, and I love that that's kind of the page that you are definitely on. But even as well, that education piece is also the, what can I do for you to provide value before I'm asking for anything from me? And I love that. That's, you know, we're definitely about that. So, and thank you for coming to do that for us as well. Do you have any other recommendations for business owners that are trying to figure out how to keep it going in the COVID times?
So Scott, what is it that you do?
I own a payroll company, so I do payroll for small to medium-sized businesses. So I do everything from paying them to helping them with work comp, helping them find people to do health insurance, and whatever they need, we'll find a home for them.
Excellent. So yeah, so basically you want to go business to business type places. You might look into something called the Center Club. I don't know where your office is, but down in South Coast Plaza.
I'm actually just I'm switching BNI groups, and it's at the Center Club.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that place is amazing. That's kind of funny. I don't know why I even honed in on that for you, but that place is amazing. A lot of high-end people in there, business to business. Mine is most of my business is business to people. I do some businesses, obviously, but so you need to find places that business people congregate, and that's the perfect place. That's and BNI. The other thing is, since you're in BNI, remember, you have your foot in the door to 80 BNI groups.
Yeah, that's
Figure
what
out.
Like August 1st, I've been just jumping around and trying to meet new people.
Yeah, but if I was you, I would not.
No, I just had a baby like 13 weeks ago now. So like so many things have changed for me from that, and like focused on trying to grow, and like totally different reason to do everything. So I'm just like really looking at my business as a whole, and what I want to do, what I want it to be. And yeah, so it's been interesting how much I thought I was motivated before, and something changed, and I'm not sure what it was, but it's been pretty cool.
If you're having kids, will do that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Having another mouth to feed.
Yeah, totally. Well, and that was when I, really started getting serious about my business too. So I think that there's definitely a path of like, oh, it's time to do this for real now. Well, and Debbie, Scott is here because we know each other, because we also do that same thing. We don't just network in our own, circle or in our own groups. Like, we've met because there's a great community of business owners. And one of the things I love is when business owners get together to collaborate, and we stop operating like it's a zero-sum game where if you're getting a client, then I'm not getting a client, or if you're succeeding, you're taking money away from me in some way. And you get to a point where you can go, hey, we're all kind of in this boat of trying to figure out how to run a business. And if there's things I've figured out that I could share with you that would help you, and things you figured out that you can share and help me, rising tide raises all boats. Like, we can all help each other succeed. So I think that's exactly the kind of mentality that I know that you have, Debbie, that I love about the business owners that I know and like to work with. So yep, I think those are great suggestions. Good. Debbie, any other kind of final thoughts on businessing, on kicking butt, taking names?
I think you just have to, especially in these times, you have to get up in the morning, take a shower, make like you're going to work. I work from home. I started out far away from my house and kept bringing it closer, especially when I had teenage girls home alone all summer. And I brought it back into my house. I think that you need to have a routine, and you need to have a plan and a things to do list. And if you keep that things to do list, and it's going to grow and grow and grow, and you might not get to it all when you really want to, but at least you'll have a list of where you want to diversify to and how you're going to get there. Like, joining the hoarding task force, it took a lot for them to accept me, because they don't accept lay people. I don't promote my business there. I sat there, I was quiet, I gave feedback, and now they're sending me business, and I never asked for it. So sometimes you just have to, like you said, give in the right places for the right reasons, but expecting a little bit back sooner or later, and it usually does come as long as you're good about it. I was just wondering, what does Caitlin do?
Caitlin, what do you do?
I work for a crew for Anna. I'm her operations coordinator.
Excellent. All right. I thought I've seen you before, right?
Yeah, I did come.
Yeah, you've been to my BNI meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Somebody better be coordinating our operations or they will be very uncoordinated. I can tell you that right now. Well, Debbie, I think that is fantastic advice. Make sure you take a shower every day. I will definitely say, make sure that you put on jeans because yoga pants will trick you into thinking everything's still fine. So don't do that. Make sure that you're still putting on the jeans. And then, make sure that you are still doing things to move your business forward. This is not the time to relax. This isn't the time to go, well, I guess we can't do much. This is the time to get creative, to keep hustling, and to make stuff happen as much as you possibly can. I wanted to put up Debbie's contact info in case anyone is looking for a fabulous house cleaner. They make my house smell so good. And I always know when they've been, even if I happen to be out and wasn't thinking about it, I come home and it smells amazing. So if you are looking for that, be sure to reach out to Debbie. And then we will have our next workshop on October 1st. So we would love to see you there. Thank you again, Debbie, for sharing your thoughts and wisdom and insight. It's always a pleasure.
And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to help them. And thanks so much for the opportunity, Anna. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks. Have a great week, everybody.